Am I actually in the screen?
Yep, you're right in the bullseye middle. And it's recording. I don't like it.
Why?
Because you're not smiling or anything.
Well, I'm not ready to shoot yet. Hi there everyone, it's FG again. I hope everyone is doing well. This video is going to be a little different. This is just my fast intro leader, and this is going to be a video of videos. And now that doesn't mean that I'm going to do highlights from everything else, although actually amazingly we're getting to the point where we've got a pretty nice library of outtakes and clips and things built up. Thank you for everybody who has been watching and subscribing. We are over 800 watch hours now and have gotten 12,400 something. I'd have to look, but we're closing in rapidly on 13,000 views since February 29. So I'm pretty excited about that. Very good progress, and it's all because of all of you. So thank you so much for everybody that's been keeping up and has been watching. And as I was saying, this is going to be a video of videos. I'm going to actually show you as of August here, which is where we're at, what equipment I am currently using to produce the footage which y'all are seeing. Obviously that's been an evolving project. I started with one Hero4 Black. I now have two Hero4 Blacks, one Hero3 Silver, and one Hero4 Silver. For Hero4 Black. My apology. And so it's an ever-evolving project here, and we'll see where this takes us. It's been an exciting journey, and it's still not over. Catch you soon. Coming back at you again here. This is going to be a little different. Instead of a video about the truck itself or about any place that we visited or any modifications, this is going to be a video about videos. And you're probably saying, what does that mean? Well, let me show you some of the toys that we're actually using over here to produce our footage. So let me run through some of these for you. This is the small aluminum case that I use for carrying the cameras. And all four of these nestle in there pretty nicely, along with a couple extra accessory parts. And when I've got everything put together, I just take this small towel and place it on top as a cushion to keep everything from smacking around inside. And so far that seems to be working out quite well. Okay, so let me show you the Hero cameras. So we'll talk about those. Here is the Hero4. This is a Hero3 Plus. This is a Hero4 Black. And this is a Hero3 Silver. And you might be wondering, if you're looking at them, they look basically the same. You're probably scratching your head, black, silver. Well, the casing is black and silver. So is he a little confused? Well, yes, sometimes, but hopefully not in this particular case. So what's actually happening here is in GoPro speak, GoPro parlance, the Hero3, as you can see, this number 3 is in silver outline, and these are in black. The Hero3 Blacks and the Hero4 Black over here all shoot native 4K resolution, which is what a lot of TVs are now shipping with. So if you have high definition Comcast or Verizon Fiber or whatever you may have going on for your TV, you've probably already run across that. The 3 Silver here only shoots 1080p, so this one does not shoot 4K. I picked it up for a very good price, and I wasn't too particularly concerned about that because right now I'm not actually producing any native 4K content because of the transmission and storage sizes. The files are massive, and for most people the visual difference is pretty much relatively impossible to notice. So if you are considering doing any kind of video yourself, that's definitely something to consider with 1080p, especially if you go 60 frame, where even your commercial movies are only 29.96 for NTSC standard. At 60 frame, your video is going to look very good, and you can even slow it down. So at the native 1080p, or 4K at 60 frames per second, you would be able to take and even make slow motion clips with that, and everything is still going to come out looking pretty well. These are just pull off little caps that are provided with the cameras, although if you buy them used, you may not actually have these come with, so I bought them in a separate kit, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So that just protects the lenses, which is obviously by far the most delicate part of any camera when they are not in one of their protective housings. So let's go through that. So you have the cameras here, and if you notice, this one looks a little bit different. This is what's called a skeleton frame, and as you can see here, this one looks a little bulkier. So this is actually a piece that goes around the camera itself, but yet still allows full access to all the ports and the control buttons. And one of the big things about that also is that the microphone is not covered with a configuration like this, whereas when you come over here and you look at the armored cases, or a couple minutes from now in the video when we get to the outside shot on the truck, you'll see that one too. That one's a dive rated casing. These are fully enclosed, and so therefore do not have any sort of an actual microphone port as such. So the only sound that the camera is able to pick up is whatever leaks basically through the plastic casing. Little tip, word of advice: when you're storing these, don't store them fully closed. It eventually will cause the O-rings to stay permanently compressed, and eventually, if you left them that way for a while and then swapped the camera in and out a couple of times, you might actually get a little bit of water leakage, especially if you decide to use these in a submerged application, which these are rated to be underwater, although I really don't think in our series we're ever going to have to test that in anything more than any mud splash. So you can see this one's shut and this one is not. Alright, so moving along a little bit here, as I showed you the skeleton frame. So this has a foot, which I've mounted, and if any of you are familiar with the Hero, you know that they use these extended set screws, so you're probably very familiar with seeing that hardware in different guises, including this one here, which is made of machined aluminum, and then these different feet. This one here has 3M adhesive, so once you put this down, you're really not going to get it off again. So I would be very careful if you decide to mount a camera with this exactly where you wanted it to go, because it will stay there. So you can see here how this slides in, and these two pieces actually lock together. Over here is an adapter for a tripod that can fit to a standard camera mount, which then has the teeth sticking up, which adapt it to the standard Hero mount. And this right here is a Hero4 portable battery charger. This is really nice. It has a folding 120 power port, but it can also be used inside the truck with the provided power cable, which will supply 12 volts power to it and go ahead and be able to recharge any batteries that you may have brought along as spares. This is a Hero4 battery right here, and this is just a standard USB adapter power cable which goes and connects to this one. This is the Hero4 battery, and between the two models they do unfortunately use a different battery, so I have two sets. This one is a, as I said, a Hero4 battery, and this is a twin charger that I picked up, which is very nice because this again can be powered either by a USB port off of anything that can provide 5 volts DC, or it can also be powered in any vehicle off of a regular cell phone charger. So we come over to this guy. This is a windshield mount. So it has, of course, a very familiar suction cup that everybody has seen for a phone mount or GPS, etc., etc. But when you get up here to the top, it has an adapter setting which will screw on, which will allow you to mount either a standard 35mm type camera mount if you wished, or it also came with this adapter piece, which is the one that again mounts to the camera. And over here I've just got some different adapter parts that I've collected to make mounting and configuration a little simpler. This one is pretty nice. This one here is actually angle adjustable. Let me turn that for you so you can see, and give me a minute and I will adjust that. So now here, as you can see, this is twisted, and how that happens, let me see if I can zoom in enough. Hopefully you can see this. Ah, yes, you can see that. Okay, there is a set of teeth in there along with a spring. So I'm not exactly sure how many degrees of rotation each one of those teeth is providing, but this is an adapter that lets you offset. In other words, if you have your mount set and you don't like where it's pointing, you really wish you could turn your camera just a little bit to the side. This little guy here, which comes in a 2-pack, will let you do that. So I thought that would be a very handy little piece to have along as well. So moving over, as I'm finishing up the video here, we're going to come back and just take one more look here. Here is my large box. This is where I carry all the accessories, as I had noted. The other one, I use the small box to keep the cameras and a couple of select accessories along with it. I keep my Carl Zeiss lens cleaning wipes. I found these at Walmart in a massive box of, I'm going to say, I think it was 100 or might have been 200. Anyway, very good price. If I remember right, it was about $10. I would definitely recommend keeping some of these along. These are, as I mentioned, well, I'm sure they're not made by them, but they're branded by Carl Zeiss. And if any of you know anything about optics, they are a German company that was formed in the 1800s and is noted as making some of the finest lenses in the world. So if they are putting their imprimatur on here that these are acceptable to be cleaning their lenses with, I certainly wouldn't have any problem or reservation using that on my GoPros. So these are what I exclusively use to clean up my lenses. Get that out of the way. Now that I've got my commercial. These guys are anti-fogging packets, pills, whatever you'd like to call them, insert. And what you do with this is inside of the housing, you place one of these little guys, and if you're running in a high humidity environment, sometimes you will get condensation buildup on the inside of the housing. I've had that a couple of times, and it was noticeable in the video, unfortunately. I wasn't too happy about that development, so I have these. If you put one of these guys inside there, obviously within reasonable limits, of course, it's going to be able to absorb that moisture and keep this area, which is where your lens is poking through. So anything that your image quality is either good or bad is all about right here. The rest of it is simply casing and makes no difference other than that. This piece right here is called a phantom back cover. As you can see, there's holes through it. So it's similar to the skeleton casing, but not entirely the same. You can take one of these, and this mounts onto the back of this. You actually swap the door with one of these, and it allows the unit to breathe, and also for the microphone to be able to pick up a little better quality audio. So I keep that in my big box over here. I'll show you. I think this is pretty funny. This is an aftermarket brand of battery, which is actually made using Japanese cells, although I believe they are assembled, I think, still in China. These are Wasabi, and these are highly rated. They are right about the same capacity and recycle ratings as the actual factory GoPro batteries, which if any of you ever bought any genuine GoPro parts, you know that they are rather expensive. This is a very good option if you're looking for something a little more economical, but still would like to stay in that same quality range. This is just the box that my other batteries came in, and so now I'm just keeping an assortment of parts in here. As I was talking about earlier, this is just set screws, as I had mentioned before. And this one here is a neat little piece. This is an angular adapter. So as you can see, it's two of them put together. So one set is the foot for the camera, and the other side matches to one of your mounts. So you can change angles in different directions with this, and if you had two of these, you could alter basically your angle in any one of all three of the three-dimensional axes, and should be at that point be able to get your camera to point in any direction that you'd wished. And last but not least, this is a tubular mount. I have one of these which is on the truck already. It is mounted to my mini push bar in the front, which is right where the license plate holder typically resides, and this is a spare that I keep to see where we're going to end up eventually mounting this, possibly on one of the roof rack tubes or anything of that nature. As you can see here, it's a split piece of aluminum with set screws, and you can mount this to a bicycle handlebar, a motorcycle handlebar, really anything that has a tubular shape. It did come with some rubber inserts to go inside these jaws if your diameter is too small and it's not gripping well. You can just take and plug in one of these adapters. It may need to be trimmed to fit. If I recall correctly, I think this may have come from another kit, but anyway, you see the idea there. And so between all of these different parts here, I've been able to film and assemble the videos that you've seen so far, and we are definitely looking forward and excited to the possibility of multi-angle shots here. The last video that I'd put out had some side-by-side video which was spliced together using the editing software, and looking forward here in the very near future to having all four of these cameras running and being able to collect different angles simultaneously and then comb through that footage and see what looks like it's going to be most useful, and then go ahead and weave all of that together. So I hope that this little trip through my toy box has been somewhat entertaining, hopefully, and hopefully instructional as well. And if you are considering doing some of your own video, hopefully these parts may answer some questions that you might have had in your head. Oh, like that's how I can do it. So if I was able to answer any of those questions, then I would say mission accomplished. Until next time, FG signing out. Okay, so as promised, here we are with the external shot, and as you can see, the weather's not spectacular today. It's actually raining right now, which well, might be a useful intro to come into this, actually. So here is one of the camera mounts, and let me tilt this a little bit, and you can see that you know, we use nothing but top-of-the-line NASA hardware around here. That's just a stainless steel radiator hose clamp, and I put a wire tie around it as a backup, just in case. And right now I don't have it on here, but usually I have a safety tether. Usually either another wire tie or a plastic coated metal lanyard, little cable, or a nylon, so that if in case somehow the mount happened to come loose, that the camera wouldn't get sucked under the rear wheel and disappear in a shower of plastic shards, which would be most disappointing. So this is one of the dive cases. You can see here around the lens mount, Right here on the perimeter are tiny screws, and that's how you can tell the difference between a standard or a dive mount. This one is rated, I'm gonna say, I believe it was either 30 meters or 100 meters. Anyway, regardless, I'm not planning on submerging this thing 100 feet underwater, so I'm not really worried about that. Just the fact that it's completely O-ringed and is designed to be submerged means that water splash and other road debris is obviously not going to really be a concern. So this is the view looking down the side of the truck. This is what the camera sees. So if you go back and watch the video that was filmed in West Virginia with the view of the front tire and the running board and the side of the truck there when we were bouncing along pretty good on the access road that went underneath of the high voltage power lines in that area. This is the camera housing that was shooting that video.